Did you know that a child's brain develops faster in the first few years of life than at literally any other time? It's true. The experiences kids have during these early years pretty much shape everything: their learning, their confidence, emotional intelligence, and really their future success. So welcome to Next Gen Parenting. If you're looking for practical parenting tips and real child psychology insights, you are absolutely in the right place. Today, we're diving into this explainer to talk about one of the most powerful investments a parent can ever make: early learning. Let's explore how we can make the absolute most of these absolutely crucial years. Okay, let's kick things off with a truly staggering number: 1 million. During those early years, a child's brain forms over 1 million new neural connections every single second. I mean, let that sink in. Every second. These connections are quite literally wiring the brain, laying down the tracks for language skills, memory, problem solving, emotional intelligence, and social skills. Now, a quick caveat here. Early learning isn't about pushing our kids to be baby geniuses. Not at all. It is entirely about providing the right environment for this rapid, super healthy growth to just happen naturally. Notice the stark contrast we have here. On the left, we're looking at a section of a stimulated brain. It's this thick, dense, really rich web of red neural pathways, almost like a massive superhighway. But on the right, you see an unstimulated brain with much sparser, weaker connections. What you're seeing is how everyday normal experiences physically build the brain's architecture. So every time you talk to your child, or read a book, or just play a goofy game, you are literally building that dense network on the left. Neuroscientists actually refer to this window, basically from birth to age 7, as a super learning state. And during this time, a child's brainwaves are slower, they're more open, and they are incredibly absorbent. They just learn effortlessly, they copy everything we do, and they internalize patterns way faster than we can even imagine. Now again, this isn't some mandate to start teaching algebra at age 3. It just means we have this amazing biological window right now to build the deeper structures that are going to make all of their future learning so much easier. All right, so here is our roadmap for today. We'll be hitting 6 key sections. First, the golden brain period. Second, rethinking early learning myths. Third, the power of words. Fourth, play as real learning. Fifth, building emotional intelligence. And finally, the engaged parent. Let's dive right in. Section 1, the golden brain period. This window from 0 to 7 really is an unparalleled time of neuroplasticity. Just look at the incredible progression of these neural networks, starting from birth, then to 1 month, 3 months, and finally hitting 24 months. The sheer density that develops in just 2 years is mind-blowing. This rapid biological growth is exactly where the foundation for all future academic and social skills is laid down. This is basically where the brain decides just how efficient it's going to be at processing the whole world around it. Section 2. Rethinking early learning myths. So with all this talk of rapid brain growth, it is super easy for us parents to get stressed out. We tend to buy into this common myth that early learning means worksheets, rote memorization, long study sessions, and a whole lot of academic pressure. But honestly, that is simply not true. The reality is that the absolute best early learning happens through play, natural exploration, daily conversations, storytelling, and above all, emotional safety. Kids learn best when they're actually engaged and curious, right? Not when they're stressed out and pressured. True intelligence is built from the inside out. Section 3, the power of words. This brings us to our very first foundational pillar of early learning: reading every single day and having meaningful conversations. Reading is quite literally one of the absolute most powerful early learning activities you can do. I mean, the benefits are huge. We're talking vocabulary development, way better communication skills, improved concentration, and a much stronger imagination. And look, even just 15 minutes a day makes a massive difference. Oh, and get this. A fascinating piece of data shows that library visits are a proven cognitive booster. Just taking your kid to the library gives them a huge advantage for language acquisition. Let's look at how we can put this into practice today. Here's a super practical parenting tip. While you're reading together, just pause for a second and ask, hey, what do you think happens next? It sounds so simple, but this little question takes reading from a passive listening activity and turns it into an active exercise that heavily encourages critical thinking. And right alongside reading, we have everyday conversation. Look at this quote. The back and forth rhythm of talking to your child is one of the strongest predictors of future intelligence. Developmental scientists actually call this the serve and return mechanism. It's kind of like playing tennis. When your baby babbles or points at something and you respond to them, you are literally wiring their brain. You don't need expensive flashcards. Your natural voice just narrating your day and responding to them builds incredibly strong neural pathways. Actually, here's another really great tip to upgrade those everyday conversations. Instead of asking a closed question like, "Did you have a good day?" which, let's be honest, usually just gets a mumbled yes or no, try asking, "What was the most exciting part of your day?" Open-ended questions like this force the child to search their memory, form a narrative, and put their feelings into words. It leads to far more meaningful interactions and much, much stronger thinking skills. Section 4, play as real learning. So now we shift gears a bit to talk about encouraging creative play and letting kids safely explore. I absolutely love this quote from the Developmental Milestones research. Play is the work of this age. We really need to reframe how we view unstructured play. It is not a break from learning. It literally is the learning. When a kid builds a block tower, they are figuring out physics, patience, and spatial awareness way better than a worksheet ever could. When they pretend to be a chef or a doctor, they're innovating, they're problem solving. Because the truth is, kids are basically tiny natural scientists. They learn by touching things, observing, and testing the limits of everything around them. So as caregivers, sometimes the absolute best thing we can do is just step back. Try to avoid rushing in to give them all the answers right away. Let them discover it. When they ask you how something works, sometimes the perfect response is simply, "Well, what do you think?" Now, obviously, this brings up a huge modern challenge, trying to balance active engagement with passive screen time. Look, technology can definitely be useful. We all know that, but heavy screen exposure gives them ready-made stimulation. It literally does the imagining for them. A human brain actually builds strength by wrestling with boredom, by imagining things from scratch, by running around outdoors and through real human interaction. So passive screen time can actually limit language and problem solving if it ends up replacing that real-world hands-on exploration. Section 5, building emotional intelligence. Here is a crucial point. Academic success literally means nothing without a strong emotional architecture to hold it all up. Before age 7, the brain is built from the inside out, and the very first layer it lays down is emotional safety. This is a state where a regulated nervous system acts as the ultimate gateway to learning. When a kid feels safe, when they feel connected and understood, their brain just opens up. They can take risks, they can remember things better, and they can be wildly curious. Teaching empathy, patience, gratitude, and self-control, that creates this regulated nervous system, which actually predicts long-term success way better than academics alone. So how do we actually build that? Well, it starts with how we praise them. Instead of saying, "You're so smart," which kind of focuses on a fixed trait, try saying, "I love how curious you are," or maybe, "Wow, you worked really hard on that." This shows your child that their effort and their process are what actually matter. It builds a super resilient growth mindset and a lifelong love for learning, rather than a paralyzing fear of making mistakes. Section 6, the engaged parent. Okay, let's talk about the environment that makes all of this possible. But first, let's quickly run through some common pitfalls to avoid. Try your best not to compare your kids to others. Every single child develops at their own unique pace. Also, watch out for excessive academic pressure and overscheduling their days. They desperately need downtime to process everything. Try not to use screens as the primary teacher. And please, never ignore their emotional development just to hit cognitive milestones. Because at the end of the day, here's the absolute most important lesson from this entire explainer. Children do not need perfect parents. They really don't. They just need engaged parents. The greatest learning environment in the world isn't some ridiculously expensive private preschool or a playroom full of high-tech educational toys. It is simply a home filled with love, learning, daily conversation, creativity, and steady encouragement. Those little tiny daily interactions today, those are exactly what will shape your child's future for decades to come. The first few years of life provide an incredible opportunity. And again, not to create a perfect child, but to build a brilliant, solid foundation for lifelong learning and happiness. So I'd love to hear from you guys. What's your child's absolute favorite learning activity? Share it down in the comments below. And hey, if you found this explainer helpful, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on those notifications so you never miss out on future insights. Welcome to the Next Gen Parenting family. Together, let's help our children learn, grow, and truly thrive.